Darius, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good actually. How are you?
Not bad, man. What's
Okay,
your question?
couple things I actually wanted to touch on here.
Hmm.
Uh, the conversation with the dragons.
Yeah,
Um, I know they're calling them Drakthir. Uh, Dragon could be one terminology, but if you think about how they're set up, look wise, it's more of a drake rather than like an actual dragon.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it is an experiment, right? That's their origin, sort of. They were uh, results of Deathwing experiments or Malfurion at that time.
Right.
But yeah,
Okay. So another. Hold on, I'm trying to get my thing keeps scrolling on me while I'm talking.
all right.
Um, So, Dragonflight. I know you were talking about a lot of people, being on the copium earlier. I've got to agree. Given Blizzard's past history, I also think the last true good expansion that we had was Mists of Pandaria. It had a
Mhm.
solid storyline. The gear wasn't OP. There wasn't some, overpowered weapon to try and get, to beat the final boss.
Yeah.
Um, if Dragonflight flops, will this be potentially the final expansion for World of Warcraft, given that the player base numbers right now compared to 2 years ago have dropped more than 60% overall? That was via of Asmon.
Yeah. Wow, you're really trying to get me cancelled here. Um,
Sorry.
no, it's good, bro. All right. Jesus. So it's not just Asmongold. I have contacts in Blizzard as well that have confirmed to me that they've dropped quite a bit under a milli players in the last, let's say, year. I also know for a fact that 9.2 did not bring back the players that they were hoping was going to come back. In fact, from a numbers perspective, 9.2 was a critical failure. From a enjoyment perspective, it was an absolute success. So far, I'm hopeful that Blizzard understands that that failure is not a reflection of the quality of 9.2, because I do believe that 9.2 is a very good patch. Everything that I've seen, everyone that I've spoken to, 9.2 is a good, solid patch. And it seems like Blizzard knows that as well. It's more a case of Blizzard have burnt a lot of bridges. And I think they know that they're going to have to get those back. They're going to have to rebuild those. It's going to be a slow, grueling process, but they're going to have to start somewhere. You can already see it, right? This is the expansion where Blizzard is speaking to the player base more than ever before. They're when they announced it, they went on a massive media tour with interviews all over the place. Now we get the first week of alpha going live, and again, massive amounts of interviews all over the place. Like every fucking content creator from small to large is getting an interview with Blizzard Entertainment. So Blizzard is really trying. They're really putting their best foot forward to make sure that the players understand this is about you. We want to get your feedback. We want to show that we've learned, we've grown, we're going to do better. We promise. Give us another shot. Now to your actual question, the bigger sort of theme on that question is, and to sort of blow it a bit bigger, the question we have to ask ourselves, and this is the question that I asked all the way back in BFA already, is how many failed expansions can World of Warcraft take in a row before it fails? Because the problem for World of Warcraft has never been individual failed expansions, because that is like Blizzard's forte, right? One good, one bad, one good, one bad. This is what Blizzard does. The issue is in a row. If Dragonflight fails as well, there is a very reasonable chance that Blizzard Entertainment upper management goes, yeah, no, This is enough. The game is too pricey, too costly, and anyone that's sort of doubting this, let's put this into perspective. The current staff for World of Warcraft is over 1,000. 1,000 developers, not developers, staff that works on World of Warcraft. Pure development, it's over 400 developers that work exclusively on World of Warcraft, right? That is humongous. That is massive in terms of development numbers.
Right.
The majority of games gets developed with anywhere from 50 to 100. 150 is on the upper side of most AAA companies. We're talking AAA games here. Like very few companies do like 300 even developers. That's a lot of fucking people that need to be paid every single month. So there is a good chance that upper management, Bobby Kotick, almost called him by his real name, turns around. And I just want to, sorry, as soon as I said Bobby Kotick, I had a miserable experience. Just got reminded of that over the weekend. And I'm pretty sure it's him. Although maybe I'm completely mistaken. But over the weekend, I watched Moneyball for the first time ever. And who the fuck plays one of the greedy managers in Moneyball? Bobby fucking Kotick, dude. Plays the manager for the team that Brad Pitt. Pretty sure it's Bobby Kotick. It looks exactly like him. If it isn't, then I'd be fucking... I would be surprised. But anyways, so Bobby Kotick played in that movie. I knew he was an actor. I just didn't know that he was an actor in that movie. But anyways, so there's a good chance that he goes, screw this. Let's just fucking call it. Let's call it here. Let's move on with our lives. Let's do something new. And Blizzard already have it. For those of you that don't know, years ago, we're now going back to the days of Mike Morhaime at Blizzard Entertainment. Mike Morhaime said that World of Warcraft will not rule forever, right? And that there will eventually be an MMO that replaces World of Warcraft. For Mike Morhaime, the idea was that Blizzard needs to be the company that makes the MMO that replaces World of Warcraft as the number one MMO on the market. And Blizzard have already done that. Diablo 4 is an MMO. I don't care what anyone says. If anyone disagrees with this, show me in what meaningful, reasonable way Diablo 4 isn't an MMO, and I will take it back. But Diablo 4 is the MMO. So Blizzard has already positioned themselves in such a way that should World of Warcraft fail, they have the next MMO waiting. It's ready. If WoW keeps going well and Dragonflight knocks it out of the park, hey, we have two MMOs that's making money. But if WoW goes downhill, we have Diablo 4. Here we go. This is our new MMO.
I'm not entirely sure I agree with that. Just because and I'll give you a good example. You said you hated mobile games. Well, Diablo Immortal. I've seen multiple videos from multiple streamers, and the numbers that have been thrown out there needed for real-world money transactions to even complete the game was somewhere, I believe, between 300,000 and 500,000, the last I heard.
500, yeah. 500,000.
With them pulling what they have with Diablo Immortal, surely they have to know by now that they have greatly irritated the Diablo player base. Not just, World of Warcraft, because I'm sure there's a tie between the two, considering what, Warcraft has been going through the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Not counting the scandal that went down.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't understand. It's like they're purposely trying to self-destruct. And I don't mean on one game, I mean on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Blizzard, statewide. So
okay, you are giving them way too much credit. It's not on purpose, and they are not trying to self-destruct. They don't know what they're doing because they're too stupid. They don't know. They literally, this is just a fact of they are uneducated in how economics, how business practice, how capitalism is supposed to work. So it's not on purpose. They're not trying to self-destruct. They just don't know better. They think in their minds, the idea is that these things are not connected. We can release an absolute piece of shit, right? And then literally next game, we can release a great game and players will not even remember the absolute piece of shit. But that's because they've stopped looking at us as people. We are not people to them. We're users, we're consumers, we're numbers. That's
Sadly,
what
you're
we
right.
are, right? Yeah, we're numbers. It's like literally just yesterday, one of my family members phoned me up and they were sort of frantic because they have finally figured out that the world is going into recession, you know, and they're sort of wondering what the fuck is going on and why is this happening? And because now they're starting to realize that all the money printing during COVID was probably not the best idea in the world. And they're like, is this on purpose? And I'm like, no, of course this isn't on purpose. You people voted for the stupidest people in the room, and now you're surprised that things are falling apart? What the fuck did you expect? When you hire a clown, you're not going to get a good fucking show, right? It's going to be a fucking fiesta. This is... Bobby Kotick played the fucking manager in Moneyball, and the dude, like, in what fucking universe do you believe this guy is at all equipped to run a company in any sort of reasonable way, right? The dude doesn't know. He's fucking useless. So it's not on purpose. They don't know and think that this is going to matter. They just don't know, right? As far as they're concerned, it's all good. The next game will be fine. They said it even on Twitter. Like literally, the lead developer for Diablo 4 said people don't need to worry. Diablo 4 is a complete standalone game. It's going to have a box price. It's not going to have all these cash up items. And it's sort of like, oh, wait, but so you don't understand why people, because he actually tweeted it out like, he was confused why people would even be worried that Diablo 4 could turn into Diablo Immortal. And it's sort of like, dude, you realize that people can read, right? Like, when you see Diablo Immortal, you can see that this is a game by Activision Blizzard. Then you see Diablo 4, and you see Activision Blizzard. People aren't stupid. They can go, 1 + 1 must equal 2. So, of course, they're... of course they're going to be fucking worried that, hey, could this be the future of the game? But no, it's not purposeful. Anyways, sorry. I completely forgot what your question was originally.
You're good, Matt. I do have one last question for you. The reworks that you were talking about, that they're going to, start doing classes.
Yeah.
We've already got our talent trees back, in a sense.
Yes.
I know a lot of the old school classes, like the Death Knight, for example. A lot of us who actually play that class have really been wanting to bring things back, like the presences, like Frost Presence, Blood Presence. It honestly, it felt more. What's the word I'm looking for? We felt more in tune with our characters, I guess would be a good description for it.
Yeah.
Do you think this is something that they're going to do before the end of Dragonflight or sometime by the next expansion?
So it's almost definitely going to be next expansion. There are hopeful things for Dragonflight, but sadly, major class updates, I feel Blizzard is still going to keep those for expansion wide, or maybe major patches. So if I think enough DKs scream for things like presences, I can see Blizzard sort of going, yeah, all right, we'll do this in the first major patch. But just on that note, to sort of highlight why I say this. Historically, Blizzard have been very cautious and almost reluctant to do major class changes mid expansion. So Blizzard have far more often been willing to see a spec or a class die in its entirety during an expansion rather than do a major update on it. A great example of this going back to Demonology Warlocks. Demonology Warlocks was literally dead for the majority of World of Draenor, and Ian's answer when asked about it was, yeah, sorry, play something else. Simple as that, right? So I don't know if Blizzard would do that, because presences will have a pretty fundamental impact on how DKs are played, especially if you want to do it correctly, because I can see a world in which every single one of the specs, so Frost, DK, Frost, Unholy, and Blood, have all three of the presences, and all three of the presences do different things for each one of the specs.
Right.
And make it really cool. So, for example, say if an Unholy DK goes into Blood, they get a little bit of self healing on every single one of their abilities. So it's a kind of like, they can swap to Blood in case they need some healing because maybe they're low on low on health or some shit like that. And then if they go into Frost, they take a little bit less damage. And then if they go into Unholy, obviously more damage and more movement speed, whatever it used to be. And you could do something different for Frost and something different for Blood. So you basically make the presences part of the play.
Yeah, because I kind of hate the way that they've kind of put the screws to Death Knights. Frost DKs, for example, I know they're good for burst damage, but even the basic DPS used to be so much higher compared to other classes, and definitely compared to what it is now. I used to main Frost, and after it was either right before or right after Legion, I can't remember. They kind of put the screws to us. We got nerfed heavily.
Okay.
But I think that if they get back not just the classes themselves, but the core talents, like the core specs, make that a priority.
Yeah.
That has so much room for development, not just making new classes. Build on what you've already got.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of that, I remember you brought up Director earlier. I was watching Bellular's video the other night when he was doing Alpha. It's putting out so much damage, it's beyond OP. I'm betting within the first month or two after the live drops, they're probably going to nerf heavily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're going to get nerfed now. I don't see Drakthir going live the way that it is, or Invoker going live the way that it is right now, because it is stupid OP. I mean, its AoE is absolutely next fucking level. The amount of AoE that it can do, especially once it gets empowered abilities going, it is pretty disgusting. But you also have to remember, it's sort of like the new Euro class, So it's going to be, again, it's, I want to say, as a Warlock, and literally on behalf of all other classes in the world, it's pretty rich for a DK to complain about being underpowered, considering if you played during Wrath, there was about 90% of Wrath that you guys were fucking beyond fearsome. I remember going into Battlegrounds and being like, oh, never mind, there's a DK with Shadowmoon, let's fucking AFK. There's no point in even trying this. We got spanked by DKs in Wrath. So maybe enough was on the cards for you. I'm joking, of course.
I mean, even compared to Cataclysm's stat base, which was where I got started back into Warcraft, actually. I played when the game first came out before Burning Crusade for a time, and then I didn't get back into it until I was about halfway through Cata. But I mean, even then, it was our class felt so much more solid than what it does right now. I've been forced just to be able to get into raids to go to Unholy, which I really don't care much for. It's just not my cup of tea,
Yeah.
But they really need to stop showboating. They need to get back to what made World of Warcraft great. Bring them back to the Mist of Pandaria days when things were balanced. We had a good story. Everything was almost perfect.
But I feel
But
like this is what Dragonflight is doing. So let's see what the new class, because the new classes already present so many different options for how you want to play your class, right?
right.
The way you want to build it. And also, it gives Blizzard a lot more tools to buff. Basically, because in the past, because you had all of your abilities available and then you had talents that would buff, your abilities or change your ability slightly, buffing any individual ability could break a class because by how much do you buff it? Whereas with the new build, so let's take the Frost DK for example, Howling Blast. Howling Blast have been a single target and an AoE ability for Frost DKs basically since its inception. Yeah? Here's the problem. If Frost DKs suck in AoE, it's very difficult to buff them, because if you buff them too much for AoE, you also inadvertently buff the single target. But with the new talent trees, that's not true, because in order to get Howling Blast to be an AoE ability, like a true AoE threat, you have to build into it. So there are multiple talents that you have to take over other single target talents if you want to have Howling Blast do an insane amount of AoE damage. So you can buff the AoE aspect of it because people will only take it when it's AoE. They're not going to take that for single target because the single target stuff is still its own thing. So I do think it's worth waiting and seeing what the classes are going to feel like. Also, remember, this is alpha, and this is what I wanted to say earlier. One good bit of news, I covered it in today's video with Crandor's interview. Blizzard is looking at patches and doing more patches more frequently, but smaller in size. So we're probably going to see a much more proactive Blizzard in Dragonflight than what we've ever seen them in the past.
I hope so.
So there is a good chance that Blizzard will react and respond very quickly to DKs complaining about one thing or the other. Blizzard might very quickly be like, oh, wait, okay, we hear what you guys are saying. We're going to change this. We're going to fix this. So I would say, yeah, let's keep an eye on it. Let's see how things progress throughout the alpha. Do Blizzard make major changes? Priests are also currently waiting for major changes to their class tree. So I'm, all in all, very much looking forward to seeing how this will play out, in all honesty.
I definitely agree. Well, I know we got more people waiting, so Accolonn, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, man. It was good talking with you.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you, Darius. Thank you so much for the question.